So I say all that to say, the one thing ruining relationships is, hey guys, welcome back to From Pieces to Purpose. I am your host, Justice, and this is our safe space. Our safe space where we are healing, we are reclaiming our power and confidence back, okay? And going out to live a life on purpose for a purpose. I want to talk about what inspired this episode. And I titled it, The One Thing Ruining Your Relationships. And this is not clickbait because this is absolutely, I've seen it firsthand, secondhand, third, fourth, and fifth hand, how this is the thing that contributes to a lot of the other things that ruins our relationships. And that's romantically, friendships, familial, family relationships, all of that. This was birthed out of a revelation I received in therapy. And this was this was last year, actually, in therapy. I learned this, or this kind of came about. I remember going into that session, and I remember telling my therapist, I was like, this year, talking about 2023, this year, I really want to focus on forgiveness. I really feel like I'm being called to forgive in a radical way, and that's just, self-forgiveness, forgiveness of others, and really releasing a lot of the hurt and the pain that I had been carrying for years. Okay. I was ready to release that because I wanted to receive the new thing, and embrace all of the new things that have been happening in my life. And I just felt like there was no space, and we're getting to that. We were talking about, the people in my life that I need to forgive. And so she had me write a list of people that come to mind when it comes to forgiveness and, people that you want to release. My ex-husband was on the top of that list. After the session, I was just feeling so heavy, but I took one of those showers that change your life. So I was in the shower and I was thinking to myself about all the hurt and pain that I have experienced with my ex-husband and all of the things that he did and said that I was still holding on to. And I said, wow, I got this visual of, I don't know if y'all seen this episode of SpongeBob. He had a bunch of little SpongeBobs in his head running around trying to find papers and files. If you're watching this on YouTube, I am going to put the clip that I'm talking about because it drives this point home. It was my direct visual that I got when I was in the shower was Justice and a bunch of little Justices in my head running around with papers. There's papers that are blowing up. There's papers that are their filing systems. It's just a chaotic mess. And I got this visual and I thought to myself, the person that's in charge of the hurt and pain from my ex file, why are we still employing that person? Why am I still paying this employee to keep a file of all the hurt and pain that my ex has caused me? Why? And when I asked myself that and I said it out loud, it made no sense. It made no sense. Like, why would someone keep a running list, a running file in their head of hurt and pain? Why are we tracking this? Why are we logging this? What is the intent behind this file? I was asking myself these questions and I didn't have an answer for it. I didn't have a reason. No, I'm lying. I did have a reason, and it was to justify. It was to justify why I felt the way I felt. This is my badge of honor that this person has hurt me in this way and can never say that they didn't because I'm holding on to the file and the receipts attached to prove that if they try to come out and say they didn't hurt me, I got a file, girl. And so it made so much sense that God was putting it on my heart to forgive because he wasn't the only one with a file. I had a couple other people on the list that had those same files that I was keeping. And not that I thought these people would come out and say they didn't hurt me, but you see the thought process behind why am I holding on to those things? And I want you to catch the visual. There is a person employed in my head to keep the file of all the hurt and pain a person caused me. Then I started thinking to myself, we can fire this person in charge of this file and take the person in charge of joy and peace, clear out that person's desk, right? Bring joy and peace over to their desk. And now we have a whole desk of filing storage space where joy and peace can now spill over to this part of the office. Am I crazy? Joy, peace, I got something for you. let's go ahead and clear out your desk. Bitterness, go ahead and clear out your desk. Resentment, clear out your desk. Jealousy, clear out your desk. Because joy and peace, we need some space to spread on out. We need some more storage room to spread on out. We need more room. So I say all that to say, the one thing ruining relationships is keeping score. And I got Bible. The scripture is 1 Corinthians 13, 4 and 7. And I'm going to read the whole thing because why not? Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wronged. That's the part of emphasis. It does not rejoice about injustice, but it rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up. Love never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. So I read this for a couple reasons. First, because whoever we're in relationship with, there is an exchange of love. You know how there's like different versions of love. There's like godly love, and then there's friendship love, and then there's like romantic love. There's different versions of love. So anybody you're in relationship with, there is an exchange of love from that person to you and from you to that person. It says love keeps no record of being wrong. Why would he put that in there? Why did he choose to include that part? Because he knows as human beings, he created us. We can't forget what the person did to us, but why would he say, keep no record of being wrong? And I figured it out. It's because it's this filing system in our mind where we are keeping a record of every time this person wronged you. So now when I look at this person, I have to look at this person through the lens of the filing system I'm keeping on them. I'm building a case, essentially. And you don't verbally tell the person you're keeping a case. You probably don't even admit to yourself that you're keeping a case. It's probably not convicting you until in this moment right now. There are probably people coming to mind right now that you are keeping a case on them. My thinking is, I'm keeping this case and I am completely missing the person behind the file. So for an example, when I was thinking about, the people that I had to forgive, and I was thinking about my ex-husband, I'm just like, the list is stacked high. It's stacked high, okay? So anytime I interact with him or interacted with him, I'm looking at the list of things and the experiences and the things that were said, and I'm looking at that. I'm not even looking at him. I'm looking at all of those things. Does that make sense? Why it's not beneficial to the relationship or to the person or to me? Because one, if I have to continue to be in relationship with somebody, keeping a record and a file against them and what they did to you is not going to be beneficial to the relationship or to you. Because one, to you, that filing system is now, it's taking up room in your spirit, in your mind, and in your heart where joy and peace can spill over. You want more overflow of the things you desire? You got to get rid of that space. You got to clear out some space. So the baggage that you're holding on to, the trauma, the hurt, the pain, those boxes, those dusty boxes that you don't want to touch, you got to release that. You got to release the boxes, and you got to release the people whose names are on those boxes, because we want to make more space for joy, more space for peace. And if you want to improve a relationship, so say if you are still in relationship with this person, I'm talking to the married folks now, or the people that are in relationships, you keeping a record of every time your man or your woman hurt you is not beneficial to the future y'all are trying to build. Why? Because every time this person, this imperfect person, I might add, adds to that file, because for the rest of their life, they're going to add to that file of disappointment, you're going to respond to things outside of the file and not outside of just, this is a person that I love. I just read you in the Bible where Paul is talking to the folks about love and mentions that real love does not keep a record of wrong. If we're going to keep a record, can we keep a record of love, of joy, of peace, a record of gratitude? Keep a record of all the time, like the good things, the great things, the good experience, every time that they did show up and they did do the right thing, because we are all imperfect human beings, and we're going to continue to disappoint each other. No, it is not an excuse to hurt people. and to take advantage of them and to, betray them, all the things. It's not an excuse to do that, but we are imperfect. And I think that unforgiveness stacked high in your mind is keeping you from truly embracing a loving, thriving, healthy relationship. Either unforgiveness with the person you're currently with or unforgiveness from your past relationships. It is hurting you in the worst way. Another thing I noticed when I was thinking about forgiveness and forgiving my ex-husband, I was thinking to myself, have I ever made this particular mistake before? Have I ever made, I started asking myself, have I ever made a mistake before? Yeah, you've made a mistake before. Have you ever not showed up to something you were supposed to show up to? Yeah. Have you ever not felt like doing something? Yeah. So when I started realizing, not that we're the same, but that I've made some of the same mistakes and there was still grace for me, so there's grace for him. And I say that to say that the person that you have a file stacked high for, there's grace for them too. And that we as people who love Jesus and just good people in general need more compassion and empathy and understanding for people in their own unique experience and how they're living life and doing life in their own way. And sometimes that is damage control. Sometimes people are out here like a bulldozer running over everything and everybody in their path, but that person still deserves grace and space to process life in their own way. And that's hard to hear when you're in the thick of the hurt on the receiving end of that person. But when you really look at them and realize they are a human being just like you, who's trying to figure it out. And they just have their own way of figuring it out, but there is still grace for them to figure it out. If we make the decision to release them and release the file to God and say, you know what? I can't change anything about this person. I can't change anything about what this person did to me. I'm going to give you the file and I'm going to give you them. And in exchange, I will take more joy, more peace, more wealth, more purpose, more responsibility, more wisdom, whatever it is, in exchange for you taking this file and saying, I'm clearing it out. I'm clearing out the space, God, to receive the new thing and the good things and the things that are in alignment with who I am right now. That's ultimately the solution is more compassion, more grace, rather than looking at the file stacked high against that person. Get that out the way and see the person. Because if you look at that person and say, this the same person that did, you're not going to want to do anything with that person. You're going to want nothing to do with them. You want to have your heart pure. Because here's the thing. What you don't see happening on the surface, what you don't see happening is the unforgiveness hardening your heart. And once it's hard, it invites all its little friends to come party. Unforgiveness invites bitterness, resentment, jealousy, anger, all its little dusty friends with them to now harden your heart towards love, relationships, people, the opposite sex. So whether you're a man or a woman, and that's the goal, right? That's the goal for the enemy. Your enemy wants to harden your heart. That's their goal. What I want us to consider, how much better our lives would look and feel, how much more free would I feel if I just released this. And it's not that you think about it every day or that it's top of mind, but that I'm still carrying, when people bring that name up, these are the things that run down in my head. All the things that's the stuff that we need to let go and release. So this is the part that you might not want to hear, okay? This is the part that you might not want to hear. All of this that we talked about today really is a reflection of the file that you're keeping against yourself. I found that with that revelation that I had in the shower about, keeping a file on my ex-husband, that I'm keeping that same type of file for myself. I'm still punishing myself in certain ways for things that I have done. And that is not loving to me. So no wonder why, as a reaction to being hurt and being wronged, is keep a file, because I'm doing this with myself already. Justice, you remember when you did that? Oh, this is why this happened to you, because you did that. Nobody said, nobody told me that. I told myself, oh, because I did this happened. Because I did this to this person or said this to this person. That's why I'm now experiencing this traumatic experience over here. Who said that? Who was in charge of appointing God didn't tell me that. That's what I concluded, because I was punishing myself for keeping a file on all the mistakes that I felt that I've made that now are resulting in things happening in my life. If you find yourself in that same position where you're punishing yourself, or you find yourself trying to connect the dots in a negative way towards you, there may be some room for self-forgiveness, for you to forgive yourself. Ask yourself some really tough questions and get to the bottom of, why am I keeping this file? And then actually go through the file of the things the mistakes that you've made that you're really holding against yourself, and release those things as well.
Piece it together, piece it.
All right, so I want you to take a piece of paper, and on one side, I want you to write down some of the things that you're keeping against yourself, some of the things that you've done in your past that you may be holding against yourself and punishing yourself for. On the other side, I want you to write down some of the things that you're holding against some people in your life, not their names, just write down some of the things that they may have done to you that you're still holding as a mental file in your head against them. And looking at those things on the page, I want you to ask yourself, am I ready to release these things? Am I truly ready to say, you know what, this person or this event can no longer hold me back from the purpose God has for me? Here's how it is actually holding you back from purpose, this unforgiveness. And I forgot to mention this earlier. When your mind starts to keep these files against people, and I believe our God is so intentional. He's so intentional and he's so wise. He worded it specifically like this in his word, keeping a record of wrong, because you keeping that record, where are you keeping it? It's in your head, right? Your mind is such a complex thing. It starts to look for things in ways in your life to confirm the things that you have in your mind. Like in the same way where you decide you want a blue Toyota, and then now all of a sudden you start seeing all these blue Toyotas everywhere. It's the same thing. If I'm thinking to myself, this person is untrustworthy, they're a liar, and I have the records in my head to prove all of the things I now believe about this person, when they start to show me something different, one, I can't recognize it, and two, my mind will start to look for ways to prove what I believe. These records now have formed a belief about this person, and I am now treating this person based off of my belief now about this person. And it's not with love. It is strictly based off of the things they have now done to me. So there's nothing they can do, right or wrong. My brain is going to find the ways in which this person is going to confirm the things I already believe about them. And that goes for any area of your life. And any belief that you have about yourself, about people, about things, you are moving on the beliefs that you currently have in your mind. And your brain is looking for ways in your life to confirm the things that you believe. You may say, I want to be financially free, but in your mind believe, I will always be poor and there is not enough money in the world for me. And so your life now has reflected that belief that you have of there's not enough money for me, and I'll always be in this current financial situation. So even the desire of being financially free sounds good, and I may even do some things to make it look good. But if I still have this belief in my mind and in my heart that there is not enough money in the world for me, I will never I will never obtain the thing, because I don't believe that I deserve the thing. That speaks to a much deeper issue, but on the surface of relationships, your belief about that person, your belief about love, your belief about relationships influence how you interact and do relationship with people. And so I would encourage you, after all of that, I would encourage you to forgive, to release the file, to delete it, burn it up, fire that employee, and use all of that excess storage space for love, for joy, for peace, for patience, for goodness, for faith, for all the fruits of the Spirit, for all of that, because you deserve that. You deserve more love, more peace, not more trauma, not more hurt, not more pain. You deserve more of the good things that are already out there for you. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for your time. I know this was a little bit of a longer episode, but I'm really passionate about this subject matter, and especially the things that I've learned that took me so long to learn. So I hope this helped. If you enjoyed today's episode, consider leaving me a review. It does let other people know what the show is about, and it does help other people discover the show. So if you think this is some good, shareable goodness, consider sharing. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I do film these episodes over here on YouTube. So if you're listening to this, come over on YouTube and look at what I got on, because if anything, y'all, don't tell them what I got on. If you're listening to this, come over to YouTube and look what I got on. It's giving. It's my favorite thing and I love it so much. Don't give too much context because I want them to come look now. As always, thank you, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.